resume recording. I don't think Sachin is going to join us. He actually told us in the Slack channel, so I am not going to wait for him to join. But for me today, I think it would be relatively short meetings. First of all, let me share my screen right here, because I am going to share with you these things, which is like, when I provide this, my original white paper, they suggest that how about we have some professional marketing team to redress the report, and this is what they are going to give us. So you see,
cool.
Yeah, I think it's much better than what my attempt was. Even though I tried my very best, but I think this will be the final outcome.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, which will be released. Well, they have already scheduled. The release will be tomorrow morning, and each and every one of us right here in this thing, like in this page, each and every one of us, 7 of us, will be tagged on this publication. So this is how like they will run this official publication, and then we can then reshare. So that's basically is how the plan is at this point. So I want to let you know there shouldn't be, I went through that, there shouldn't be any big change. But if you spot anything, let me know. But
it just made it look really, really pretty.
It is a very professional. We have a very rich and good content, but with this, I think we are really professionally written white paper. Okay, so I will wait. I will not send this copy to you yet because I want that to be the official one, so that you can pull it down from the site, from the Linux Foundation site.
Damn, I'll get it professionally printed.
Yep. So that's basically it's my major update in the past few weeks. What did we do? But I think how about that? Let me open the floor and see whether you have any question, feedback, response before I move on.
I'm excited. What's next? This is old news now. That's published tomorrow. That's old news. What are we doing next?
Yeah, so that's exactly my next topic. So what shall we do? So we really invest a lot of time to understand how shall this BI, AI, and data merge together, to come together, to do something useful for this industry. So I think the very next thing is, what is the next step? I really want to open this up and see if there is any ideas so that we can work together. I have some. I will definitely share mine, but I really want to hear from you first, so that I will not like dominate the conversation. Anyway,
yeah, well, I mean, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, it seems hard. I just want to make sure I remember the next steps, or what we talked about originally. I think at this point, right, we're looking now seeking active developer. Is that the call to action that will go out, or is that something we would have to work with Linux Foundation on the call to action? Like I guess what does that look like?
Okay, so like we do have some contact information, like there will be some pages, and they will use, actually they will not use my personal email. They will use the group email list. I think like you should know about that email list. If not, I will share this with you. So we will be able to get some feedback from the industry, I hope. If we got enough volunteer or developer, we can definitely convert this idea into real development project, just like Hyperledger or all the other like Nigeria, all the other like projects in the Linux Foundation. We will convert this into a real project. But if we do not have very big responses, maybe for whatever reason, then we need to either or by ourselves, maybe Deepak, you can do more coding. Or we can, or we can really start from ourselves. Click, SAS, MicroStrategy, Microsoft, IBM. So we can start from ourselves. Use this as the blueprint. How can we push it forward? Because I still feel like unless the industry leaders like us do something,
Yep.
people see that, oh yeah, they are also doing that. It's not something like a vaporware. Then people will come. That also possible. I can see both ways. If we are really doing this very well in terms of selling this idea, people will come. But let's say we don't do this very well. At least if they see the big company, the leaders here start to get this idea rolling out, I think people will also follow. So not sure whether I answer your question, Joe, but that's my prediction.
That helps.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, when I really got down to like defining that interfaces in Python, it actually got me excited personally to actually do the coding like you mentioned, right? But I should also look at my time constraint. But your point is fair, right? We should have at least one representative implementation for each of the three things that we should put in the diagram, right? An OBEC implementation for Cloud ML, one of the big ones like TensorFlow or SageMaker or whatever it is. A representative implementation for one of the traditional databases, Oracle, SQL Server, and you can pick any one of them. And also for a generic Onyx runtime kind of thing. So we, I mean, if we can find developers to at least have some, at least for each of these different areas, implement our first MVP interface in Python, that would be a good big first step. And show to the world that yeah, we like it's if someone is willing to write a driver in Python for these ML sources, following this format, it's easy to integrate it with BI clients, right? And then so
yeah, and also I don't mean to be exclusive. I think we can have both running in parallel. Like we can start our own stuff in us, but at the same time we wait for them so that we can have some like a newcomer to join the team. So that would be another scenario. So yeah. What do you think, Stu or Dalton?
Yeah, definitely. I think I can share, once this is final, I'll share this spec with our guy and see if he says, look, we need something else more written, or sure, we'll put 2 days into writing something and you know, have an example set of code to show or something. I just don't know.
Okay.
Don't know.
All right. But at least like by tomorrow when this is officially released.
Oh, I'm socializing the hell out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm taking some notes now on some history of ODBC, and I'll come at it from that angle, right?
Yep.
Like people who heard of it are like, nothing's gonna change. I'm still gonna need a driver specifically from the vendor. My software will only work with these 2 vendors, right? And that has changed. Right, we all know that, and here's what we're trying to do. So yeah, I'll try providing some history lessons tomorrow, as well as, you know, sending out the link, sharing the images.
Great.
Yeah.
So how about you, Stu?
Yeah, that's kind of where I am too, is I want to promote the heck out of this so that we get we get as many eyes on it as possible and get people interested in the idea, because we all know this is a common industry need. One of those things that I think that people just assume that, I've got to load all of my data and get it into an ETL process for me in order to visualize it. And I think what people need to realize is like, it's possible to have a solution out there where you don't need to do that anymore, and to really open people's eyes to that. But the thing is, we need somebody to be able to code something like that. So that's kind of my idea. And of course, we're going to share it internally as well at SAS and do that. But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about this because this is like this really nice concrete piece of information that says like, hey, we're really serious about this, and we're really trying to make this a reality. And if we needed to bring another person on in, I think that'd be an awesome idea, especially if somebody reaches out and says, hey, I'm really, really interested in this, we should bring him in on this call, and just have him chat with us.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, and one thing as we socialize internally, right? I think one thing that's clear is the interfaces that we are proposing is not final in any nature, right? It's just a starting point. And as you said, the more eyes that see it and suggest improvements to it, it's more welcome. We are going to discuss that here and then make a call on making those changes, right? So yeah, I think that should be conveyed, that we are seeking feedback. We are starting here, and we need more feedback, more input from industry experts, and then we'll build on it, right?
Yep, I agree. Yeah, so I think like we'll just wait until tomorrow morning and see what will happen. But in the meantime, I think this is definitely one of the direction that we can go together. But another thing that I'm thinking is, shall we also like start off? Is there any other topic in addition to Obey? Of course, that would be a very hardcore technical topic if we decide to move on to this direction. But is there any other like interesting topic that we want to do? I think that really is the question for the whole team, so that we can, if not Obey, we can do it in parallel. Like let's say is splitting this hour into two different sections, right? One, we can discuss more soft like a project, we can start working on that. Another part we can do Obey. So I just want to open it up and see if you have any idea.
I guess it would be good to understand other Linux Foundation projects that may be related to this and that we like actively discuss them. I mean, I guess Onyx is one that I'm very curious, like what they're up to, and are there any lessons learned, for example, that we could be applying? That's like the one thing. It just feels like we have the mothership of Linux Foundation, which is awesome. How can we just leverage that more?
So Joe, are you saying that we should invite more people, like some people, to this meeting to talk about the vision that they have, or how are we going to, like, is that your idea, like invite more people from Linux, different projects in LF, so that we can hear from them?
I think that would be useful if that's possible. I guess I'm not sure what, I guess I'm assuming every group is really busy, but not quite sure, I guess, like what resources I guess we would have available to us.
Right. We can definitely try, but my question is more like among us, not to invite guest speaker and try to listen to them related to Obey, but for us, what do we want to do as our 2023 publication, right? So what do we want? Like we can definitely continue to Obey, and we should continue to Obey it too, because we have already put so much energy and investment in this piece of like concept. Now, besides that, in addition to that, is there something else related to BI and AI that is a very interesting topic that we need some consensus within this industry leaders group to push this idea, something like Obey, right? But Obey, we know that Obey is the technology project to connect all three together, and we need developers on that. Is there something like standard or best practices that we want the industry to understand. Hey, SaaS, we have already done that in this. So for so many clients, why you invest on the reinvent the wheel? And then Deepak or Dalton can, or even Yi from IBM or Sachin from Microsoft can also say, hey, you know what? This is a common problem that these companies have already experienced it. You do not need to reinvent the wheel and then come up with your own solution. Those kind of topics, I'm thinking.
So, yeah, so we've talked about it as being the secret sauce, right? Of how we would implement machine learning in English words for our audiences. But I think the next big step in this field is going to be, let's stop talking about the confusion matrix. Let's stop talking about this. Let's talk about this in English that Sally Sue would understand. How do you, how do you check a model at a high level? Like this is an honest to God use case I shared with Cupid today. Our partners at Amazon implemented a SageMaker endpoint for us to call from our SAP stuff, because we're going to be demoing at their big conference with them in Snowflake. And these dingbats took the predicting field and asked for it to be in the data you send to make the predictions. And it's a 1-to-1 on that field. Like they didn't just train the model with that. They configured it so that that field has to be in the data, and then they just make the prediction 1-to-1 on that field. I know enough to look and say, like, there's no damn way that this model could be 100% accurate. That's crazy, right? But there's no way anybody's model's coming back 100% accurate. So I had to look into the data. I'm like, you can't do this, guys. Like, but Sally Sue would have no idea, right? If they're calling endpoints, there's got to be somehow we're going to have data scientist 101, almost like data literacy, but as a subspecialty of data literacy, right? Of how do you, all you little citizen data scientists, whatever your company wants to call you, how do you make sense of this stuff? Right. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe I spin off my own data literacy for citizen data scientists.
So it's
to know, hey, how do you recognize when things are wrong, just flat out wrong? How do you know what questions to ask of your data science teams? Because like one of the things I saw was one of our sales engineers, just doesn't get it. Look, this company's, using our AutoML now. They don't need to hire data scientists. No. Of course, the customer still needs a data scientist, right? That's not how this works. You don't solve 3 easy cases and think that's going to work for everybody, because Sally Sue ain't thinking about machine learning ops to track drifting over time, right? She's not looking at any of that. So I don't know. That's where my head is as to somehow the industry has got to get there. So I don't know what the right answer is as to how to get there.
So is that like a collection of lessons learned? Is that your idea of, or what will be that
kind of like data literacy for citizen data scientists, converting data science terms into human readable English.
So it's like AI jargon in plain English.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, because even all our sales stuff for AutoML shows confusion matrices and the other scoring methods. Nobody can read that shit. Great. Here's a weird looking curve. how do I know if that curve is right? Like,
Mhm,
well, I don't know if that's a good curve or not, right?
Mhm.
That's not their jam,
mhm.
right? And we got like prediction scores.
Like AUC, right?
Why is it 0.81,
Mhm.
right? Like how do I know if that's good or not?
Okay, all right.
Just stuff like that, for this stuff to be real, like this is going to help it be used more and speed up more Sally Sue's having to use it sooner.
Mhm. Yeah,
Now
but
that's going to drastically speed up how fast others are going to have to understand it.
mhm. But Donson, are you thinking like more about like a breakdown of all different cases that we can think of, or you have already got a structure of?
No, I have no structure,
Oh, okay, all right.
right? It's just simply, let's assume that this stuff takes off,
Mm-hmm.
and by February of 2023,
Mm-hmm.
every major company is all of a sudden using OBEC,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which simply means that ramping of citizen data scientists is going to happen faster, right? Because then every BI platform will have it. Now, how do the end users make good decisions on the numbers they're looking at,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Because they don't understand how to read what AI generates.
Okay, okay. So it's like a short, like what is that, cheat sheet or notebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether it end up being a cheat sheet, a Udemy course we put together,
Mm-hmm.
right? And maybe that's what it comes out as. We all end up doing a 10 or 15-minute Udemy module to help bridge that gap.
All right.
You know, how to talk to your data science friends.
Okay.
But I don't know, whatever.
So what do you think? What do you guys think?
I don't know if that's a big enough project for everything or not.
It doesn't have to be big in the beginning, but at least some ideas here, right? Like Deepak, Stu, or Joe. What do you think?
I mean, like Dalton, what you're saying there, I think it certainly resonates with me as like a business user. Like I feel like we have all these really amazing tools within SaaS, and it's like I'm always kind of wondering, like, what does half of this mean? And like I got to imagine what does that mean for the end user? So I can definitely empathize there.
Yeah.
I think that we have like a lot of different initiatives that would overlap, I guess, with that kind of drive to educate. I guess maybe one thing I can share is like we're really big on like we call responsible AI techniques, and like I guess one of it would be like how do you interpret the results of a model? Like that's something like we're super focused on, and like if we can take what's available in scikit-learn, like some of those packages, and make them better, I could see like that's like very much aligned with what we at SAS want to do. But I'm not quite, this is where I guess I get a little fuzzy on like Linux Foundation. Like, is there already someone else doing that work? And like, I guess, yeah, where does it make sense to help?
Yep. Okay. So talking about different Linux Foundation projects, there is one called Open Data Science for All. Let me see if I can pull it up. So that project initiated just because we find out that there are a lot of schools, they want to teach data science, but there is not much resources available for the professor to teach. So that's how we started up. I said we because it was actually in the ODPI before the merge, because you know LFAI and data is actually a merge between ODPI and LFAI together. That was in that 2 years back, I think. So let me see if I can put it up. Projects. Let me share my screen so that we can actually see it together. Share screen. Okay. So I think it's called Open Data Science. Yep, right here. This is the one. Can you see that? Open DS, Open Data Science for All. So we basically collaborate with different university for this. But of course, I think Dalton, your idea is very different than this one. This is more academic, very academic. If you go here, you will see, or even the example, you will see that it's pretty much like a menu of or textbook kind of things.
Yeah,
But I think, Dalton, if I understand your concept, you want to make it more human, right? More
right. Yeah, it's not to teach Sally Sue how to be a data scientist. She's never going to write Python.
Yep, like
Right.
this. You see here, the audience is instructor, professor, and
Right.
student.
Right. She's not going to learn Python. She's not going to learn Node.js.
Mhm.
But like now we present, even in our AutoML, we present confusion matrices and F scores and crap.
Mhm.
That means nothing to her, right? She deals in numbers that are, 18 digits of dollar values, and we're presenting 0.81 versus 0.76. Why is that significant to her?
Mhm. Yep, I got your point.
Right? Why can't we say, hey, look, in your entire company, the best predictive model that you're running is 0.93, and we're at 0.91. This is really, really good,
Mhm.
right? And give her an answer that makes sense to her. Or look, this came in as a true, but with a 0.51. I wouldn't act on it,
Mhm.
right? This is a nice to know, but
Mhm.
it is not a take action on, right? Somehow I think those kind of things are going to have to be converted.
Mhm.
Right? Or some way to say, show me the fields that was being acted on behind the scenes, so that I know, oh gosh, I think there's 5 other fields that are better.
Mhm.
Or this model has not changed in 2 years,
Mhm.
right? And it's drifted a ton.
Right.
And that's the stuff that, now that we've got the technical ability for these things to all run, right? How does the end user know whether they should trust it or not?
Mhm. Stu, you have something to say?
Yeah, and here's another angle we could put on it too, is everybody loves to rush to use the state of the art machine learning models, but the problem is some of these models become more and more difficult to interpret. So how would Sally Sue know that, say for example, she's got to choose between a gradient boosting model and a linear regression, and the gradient boosting model is like 4% better than linear regression, and maybe that 4% amounts to negligible dollars. How would you tell her to be like, hey, you should really use the simpler one that's easier to understand, for example? Because there's also that trade-off between accuracy and explainability. I remember during forecasting when we'd make models for people, we would, depending upon who the customer was, we would avoid doing things like model ensembling and starting to adding a ton of different terms that we knew would improve accuracy. But when the model dropped one day because of some unexpected economic situation like COVID-19, and they're like, we need to explain why it dropped this much, I need to be able to come back to them with that answer and say, this is exactly why it did it, because the model is simple enough to be able to explain it to you, which arguably sometimes can be more valuable than accuracy, because sometimes then people can act on things a little better. So, there's also that other angle too that I would love to explore of like, okay, you've got 3 different models and here's these various accuracies. One of them is really complex, the other one is a little complex, and the other one is really simple. Which one should you choose realistically? And then it's like, then it gets into the realm of, well, it depends. Is 1% equal to $10 million, or is 1% equal to, you know, a couple $100 or something like that, or 30 lives or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta figure that out.
And false
But-
positives and false negatives.
Oh yeah, that whole
Right.
that whole thing too.
If
My-
the
my-
risk of like, you know, the risk of a false positive could cost lives,
Mhm,
that's going to be unacceptable. Like,
exactly.
So-
if we could figure out that you likely have had a stroke within 30 minutes, we give you the medication for it, but the medication, if it wasn't a stroke, can also cause problems.
Yep.
If we treat sepsis aggressively immediately, fantastic. If we give you the same drugs and it wasn't sepsis, it come drastically negative consequences, right?
Right.
Knowing this model has no false positives, I don't care that it's 95% accurate instead of 97. That's the one I want.
Mhm.
Right.
And
Yep.
also, like Stu, you brought up this explainability. I want
Oh,
to
yeah.
also share with you that actually there is a project called AI explainability. So
Oh, cool.
they also have quite a few things here, so you can check it out. I think this is also another very interesting topic for people to understand.
Yeah. So I just want to I think both Dalton and Stu bring up great points, right? And one of the things in the OBEC spec that we kind of hand wave is when it comes to presenting the model, like when we retrieve the model, we just say there's an interface method, like get me a model or something, or list model. And we I think we have gone to great lengths to define an OBEC model format, which annotates the underlying model with all these other characteristics you're talking about, right? Some of like accuracy and those kinds of things. But we have not really went into the detail of how this model is built. I mean, from the AI engine, you probably have just some weights and feature transformation functions. That's it. Now, how does that translate to all the things you guys are talking about here, and that gets into the OBEC model format? That's
Mhm.
something you have left it to the implementer, right? And I think that's something that's going to be challenging for someone who's going to actually go and implement this, because at the very basic, they may just show you, okay, here is a list of models that's available on the engine, but they'll not be able to enhance I mean, how are they going to do that? That's an open question still. How are they going to annotate this underlying ML model to the one that OBEC expects to present to the BI client? That's
Yeah.
something. It's still like an open question.
Mhm.
And we need to, as part of the next steps, it could be like we could come up with ways or brainstorm on ideas to recommend best practices to do that exercise, right?
Yeah.
I can also see this two ideas can merge, right? So while we are trying to define these best practices, but at the same time, we can also use Dalton's idea of like how to educate them. Okay, if you need this actually means that.
Mm-hmm.
So we can also do the education part of the literacy,
Right.
right?
And then formalize it in a way that that can help an implementer of OBEC to actually do this kind of transformation from a raw ML model to one that fits into the OBEC model format.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree. So as long as we can have the same language, so that like all the components here in the ecosystem talk to that, I think then we can be more streamlined in terms of like communicating and getting the data and model back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think like we have for the MVP set aside training, right? If training were a part of OBEC or an integral part of OBEC, it could inform the annotation of the model in a more meaningful way, because as it trains, Obey can do things like assess the quality of the model, that the predictions are coming out, and the effectiveness of the model and so on. But still, there is always going to be factors that are outside of just pure math, right? Things that like what Stu was talking about, whether it means whether it translates to other effects that are beyond what the ML is actually doing. In terms of like dollar terms of the impact of the accuracy of this model. So those are hard questions, I think.
Yeah. But it's also like, it's a hard question, but there's also a good question for us to think about. If we come here every 2 weeks, I think we know more AI and BI and data than layman person, right? Then how can we leverage our knowledge to help more people and do something more impactful for the industry, so that they don't need to reinvent the wheel, they have something to follow. I think this is also something we can think along that line also. All right. So yeah, I guess that's basically the topic that I want to bring it up, and then at least I know we will not decide anything today, and I don't expect we do any decision today, especially after we finish a publication and expecting an official release tomorrow. So I don't expect that to come today, but at least put that in your back pocket and see how are we going to utilize this, and come back with an idea or two that what we should do next. I think this is important. And talking about next, I think like next time it's the meeting right before the Thanksgiving. So I want to ask you guys, are you up for the meeting or not? I am fine either way. Okay.
I won't be available, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so how about that? Let's take a break for next time. So we will reconvene the 7th of December. Okay, even though I know November and December, that's basically is the holiday season. So like, but let's resume 7th. At least we can celebrate our official release, like to regroup after our official release and see whether we have some feedback, and we can keep brainstorming what should be done next. Okay, but not official meeting, but feel free again, the Slack or email, feel free to ping each other so that we can keep the conversation going. Especially this is really the brainstorming section right now. It's the brainstorming period right now. We need to think and see what can we achieve in the next year, because it will be around this time, October, maybe September, October timeframe. We will wrap this up, prepare for the publication, and then November release it. That will be the cycle. So by January, we need to have something solid to think about, to really work on, not only think about, to work on. All right, so any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I'm excited that edits all happen, man.
Yep.
I was on the edge of my seat, like, we're done writing, let's go. Let's go.
Yes. That's really will be the perfect one.
But seeing that makes it worth the wait, man. That really looks professional, and glad they put some kind of money behind that. I know a lot. We spent an awful lot of time over the last 21 months to do this. So seeing it with a really touch of class,
right,
just makes it all that more special. So I'm excited. I sent some of you invites from a BI and analytics group on LinkedIn that I'll be sharing from. So if you accept those invites, I can tag your names in that group as well.
Okay.
Deepak, it doesn't look like we're connected on LinkedIn.
I don't have a LinkedIn.
He is not active in
You're
any.
not active. I know big.
Yeah, I'm not a big social media guy. So,
No, okay.
yeah,
It's
but
all good, man.
yeah, but yeah,
I didn't want to start tagging people and leave you out, man. That's,
yeah, I should think about opening a LinkedIn
but
one.
if you're not on there, you'd never know. Now,
Yeah.
are you not active because you got really 5 different jobs and you don't want to have it? I got a friend who's now working 3 jobs. He has not posted since he took the second. He's, I don't use LinkedIn. No, I'm never on it. That's why I haven't changed my whole company's name.
All right. So don't grow on the he just changed his headshot.
Yeah.
Hey, but you know what? Deepak, it's actually not a bad idea to open it tonight because Erin, she will tag each one of, she will try to tag each one of us, at least in LinkedIn, if not also, basically LinkedIn and
Is this
Twitter.
going on Twitter as well?
Yep, both. Okay. So how about this? In order to make it very efficient, okay? If you have an official, I know I have most of you except Deepak for LinkedIn or Twitter. So if you also want to be tagged there, drop me a line or even Slack me, okay? So that I can make sure Erin will have that in the publication so that she can tag every one of us.
Cool.
Yep. Dawson, I have yours, so I'll let her know. So if you, in case you want me, Slack me, email me, so that tonight I will send it all over to her so that she will tag the right person. And Deepak, do you want it to or not? Otherwise, I wait for you, or I need to make a decision whether I wait for you or not to send it out.
Well, I have not opened my LinkedIn account, so I don't think I'm going to open one tonight. But
no
I
worries.
might have a Twitter handle somewhere lying around, which I can share with you, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Not maybe. I need to.
I'll see if I can sign in. I'll see if I can sign into that.
You even forget about your sign in.
He'll see if the rest of us get a bunch of hate mail over the next month, and then he'll consider getting tagged later.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, they all just doubled their salary. Man, I need to get my LinkedIn up and running.
Oh man, yeah. All right. Okay. Good. So how about that? I will send it out around maybe 7 o'clock tonight. If you want me to include your Twitter or include me, send it to me before 7.
Okay.
All right. Otherwise, I will just use whatever I have so far to
Cool.
send it to her.
Cool.
All right.
All right.
Great. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you later.
And when you say they're going to put this out tomorrow, is this like early in the morning?
She said first thing in the morning. That's what she told me.
Where's she based?
Yeah. I think West Coast.
So
I
after
think-
lunch for me.
All right. But definitely you'll be tagged.
All right, man. All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. See you in a month.
Bye-bye.
All right, see ya.
Bye.